What's up, babes? It's Nicole, your host of Throttle Babes Podcast. The podcast where badass women empower badass women with just two wheels. Join me as I share stories of women riders around the globe. Sit back and enjoy an inside look at the female motorcycle lifestyle. Let's get into it! Welcome back. Thanks for coming to check out season 1, episode 3. I'm really excited to have my next guest on. I discovered her on an all-female Facebook group page, and she had posted a gorgeous picture on there that just stood out to me, and I wanted to know more. So welcome, Naomi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. So you have your friend Max with you, and that's actually the picture that I saw on the Facebook page.
Yes, he's a 23-year-old blue and gold Macaw. I actually got him from a rescue a couple of towns over from us. So he's still a young guy. He'll probably outlive me.
Really? I didn't know they lived that long. Wow.
Yep. They normally live into their 60s in captivity. So.
Wow. That is really neat. I did not know that. And so he likes to ride with you. Is that right?
Yes. When I got him, he wanted to go with me everywhere. So I took him. He goes in the car with me and he goes camping with us. And one day I thought, maybe he wants to ride on the four-wheeler with me just around the neighborhood. And he absolutely loved it. And he was dancing and talking the whole time. So I thought, well, what happens if I take him down to get something to drink on my Harley? And it's just like a mile away, and it's just, low speed. I don't go very fast because he cannot fly.
Okay.
So he just kind of hangs out on my arm, and he'll tuck his head back behind me if the wind gets too much for him. And then if you stop at a red light, he'll come out and sit there and talk and say hi to people at the light. It's pretty fun.
That is so fun. I love that he loves to go with you. It's kind of like you have a partner to always go with. You're never really alone. And I was wondering if he would fly off, but that answers my question that he can't fly. So does he get excited to go for rides with you?
He does. He will actually scream at me if I pull my bike out, and he does not come outside with me.
He's like, don't leave me at home.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool. So let's jump in. How did you get into riding Harleys, or how did you get into riding bikes?
So, I have no experience, not on a dirt bike, nothing. And it's been almost 8 years ago, I met my boyfriend, and he rides. And then for my birthday, he bought me a little Honda, and he's like, you get to learn to ride because it's hard to ride with two people. So, I originally wasn't that thrilled with it. I'm like, I don't know. I have no experience. This is going to be bad. I've definitely had my share of tipping over a few times and never had any bad accidents, but definitely had the stalls and this and the that from learning to ride. And then a few years later, he had upgraded and got himself a new bike. And I was like, okay, well, if you got a new one, I need to upgrade too. So I got myself a Harley, and then I bought myself a Harley, and my little Honda, I actually sold it to my big brother. So my big brother now rides with us too.
That is so nice that you guys can ride together with family. I love that. I have the privilege of riding with my dad and my husband, and it's such a great feeling to ride all together. And I love that you started on a Honda because I started on a
Mm-hmm.
Suzuki, so a little smaller, same style. How did you
Mm-hmm.
work through the feeling of, kind of, I don't know if I want to do this, but then you got into it? What switched for you that you realized, hey, I actually really like doing this?
Once it took me a while, and it was probably one whole summer. Um, it was just getting out there and going more and more wherever my boyfriend wanted to go. And then when I finally got the hang of it, I was like, hey, I kind of like this. This is kind of fun. And that's when I really decided that I wanted to get a bigger bike and keep exploring. And I still can't go a super long distance because my bike isn't set up for it. But we try and get out as much as we can in the summer. It's a little harder around here to get out. I don't know what the weather is like up there, but right now we got 7 inches of snow today.
Yeah.
So very cold right now. I also have 2 kids, and one of them is disabled. So it's very hard to leave her home to be able to get out and go. And she's disabled enough, it's not easy to have her ride with me.
Yeah, that is hard. That adds a whole nother element to it, right?
Mhm.
For sure. So, have you taken any big trips or any trips? You guys you mentioned you do camping. Do you go camping with your
Mhm.
bikes?
We went camping with our bikes once, and it was a disaster.
Oh no.
So so we went to this, it was this mountain motorcycle thing, and I'd never ridden in the dirt. I hate dirt. It
Yeah.
scares me.
Yeah.
And we get out there and the pavement ends. I'm like, I'm sure it's just going to be right around the corner. And we just kept going and going and going. And I'm like, okay, there's not even anywhere for us to safely turn around. It was like a goat trail. And by the time we get there, it was like 5 miles of dirt road. And it was dirty, and it was a lot of fun once we got there, but I won't ever do it again. It's very difficult to ride a street bike on mountain bike trails.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We, my husband and I, we like to camp with our bikes, but we don't go anywhere off trail. If we do,
Mhm,
it's just like a very short stint of gravel because I'm the same as you. I get very nervous and that's
mhm.
not my jam.
Right. And around here, there's a lot of places to go camping and campgrounds, but I grew up camping just, up in the mountains somewhere.
Yeah.
So I'm not a big campground person.
Yeah, you have the authentic experience. So campgrounds kind of
Mhm.
aren't as fun when you have that real outdoor in the wild
Right.
experience for sure.
Hmm.
And so is it just your brother that rides? Is there anybody else in your family that rode?
Nobody in my family. My dad would like to, but when I was a kid, my dad wrecked a dirt bike pretty bad, and my mom made him promise that he will never ride again. So it's just my brother that's in the family. On my boyfriend's side, his brother rides too, and he has a pretty good group of friends that ride. But I'm pretty much the only girl in the group. So
Yeah.
that's been very interesting. I like to go the speed limit and kind of putt where I'm supposed to, and they'll be miles ahead of me. But it's like I'm still gonna ride, but I'm gonna ride my pace. I don't need to keep up with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to do what makes you comfortable
Mm-hmm.
and makes you feel safe, right? So I experience that a lot too. I'm usually the only female in the group or wherever we go. So it's a different feeling, but it's an empowering feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Well,
have you
we went on a group ride. It was last fall we went on this group ride, and I decided I was just gonna ride on the back with my boyfriend. And we get halfway through the ride, and he was just joking. He goes, "Why don't you just hop on the front of the bike?" Like, he's got a big, big bike, and I'm
yeah.
used to my little small Dyna. And he's like, I'll just ride on the back. So I'm like, okay. And I hopped on, and we took off, and he didn't think I was serious. So we're in this huge group ride, and here's this big old guy on the back of his own bike. And we're just putting along. It was a lot of fun.
That
But it was also
sounds
the
cool.
first time that I rode on his bike with anyone on the back, and the first time I rode in a group. So
Yeah.
it's very nerve-wracking for me, and I think that he just about had a heart attack.
So, what is it like having somebody on the back with you then? Because I've never done that
It
myself.
completely changes the center of gravity.
Mm-hmm.
The bike handles differently completely. So, but I had only ridden his bike one other time before that. So it was very nerve-wracking for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, it seems like you gotta like turn a little differently, and I was not willing to park it in the dirt area, so I like stopped in the middle of the road, and I was like, "All right, you get off, you can park your own bike."
Yeah.
I've made it this far. I think I did pretty good.
Yeah. I don't want to be responsible for any damage. I have
Exactly.
been there and done that one. Yes. So, tell me a bit more about riding in that group. Was that your first time? Have you rode in more group settings? Do you enjoy
It was
it?
I really like the group settings, but it has to be kind of the right group because you'll
Mhm.
get some groups where people don't know how to ride in a group.
Yeah.
Um, and other times, like this was the first time I rode. I've been on the back for a couple others, but you'll have people that don't know you're a newer rider and want to ride directly next to you, and it makes you a little nervous.
Mhm.
But then you'll have the people that are completely unexperienced and cause an accident. But most of the time that doesn't happen. Normally everybody is a pretty good rider and they know how to ride in a group, but they explain it to you really well at the beginning. Like, this is what we're expecting, and this is how you guys need to ride. Don't do this in this area. We're going to ride single file. Here we can ride doubles and things like that. And then they'll have people, I don't remember what they call them, but they'll have a certain group of guys that will go up and like block the streets for you. So
Yeah.
the whole group can just go through the stop sign or something.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun in a group, but like I said, it's a little harder for us to get out and go on group rides and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And so do you in your area, where are you located?
I'm down in North Idaho.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you're a fair
Hmm.
jaunt from me up here in Canada. I
Yes.
actually rode through Idaho this past summer, and there's some gorgeous country out there.
Yes, I was born and raised here. My parents still live in the house that I was born in.
Wow.
My mom had 3 out of 4 kids at home, and I've been other places, but I don't want to go anywhere. Like, I love where I live.
Just
So I've
draws you
just been
back.
happy to hang out here and go visit other places.
Yeah.
I like to ride over to Montana. That's some
Oh,
really pretty country over there. A lot of nice places for rides and everything.
yeah. So do you do a fair bit of when you can out to Montana in different places?
Yes. There's one loop that I like to make that's from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Then it's over almost to Missoula, Montana. And then that goes up through Paradise, and then it drops back down if you do the loop through Sandpoint, Idaho, and then down to Coeur d'Alene. It's a really fun circle to do, but it's a whole day ride.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah, we hit Montana and Idaho this summer, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. That was the most beautiful country I've ever seen. Glacier National Park, incredible. I don't know if you've ever done any national parks, but it's, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just so cool.
I have not been to Glacier yet. It's on my bucket list.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. I would do it again. Do you have any other bucket list spots that you want to go?
I still want to see the Grand Canyon.
Mm.
And one of the ones that is on my bucket list is Mexico. We're actually going to Mexico next month.
Nice.
So yeah, and we're thinking about seeing if we can rent some Harleys while we're down there. I think that'll
Oh,
be a lot of fun. Um, but we'll see what they have when we get down there because I don't know what the weather's going to be like yet. I assume it's going to be a lot warmer than the 8 inches of snow we have here.
Yeah, yeah, and you guys get hot summers out there.
We kind of do. I've lived here a really long time, but as summer, the hottest it normally gets is in the about 102 is kind of the hottest it gets.
Yeah.
But it really depends on the summer. We'll have some summers that are super hot and then some that are kind of cold.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. What do you had mentioned you had kind of had some tumbles in the start when you were learning. How did
mhm.
you overcome that? How did you pick it up and keep going?
Well, the first time I did, I was coming into our driveway and our driveway's dirt. And
Mhm.
I had like gone for a whole ride by myself. It was like the first time I went out by myself. And I come back in and it just dumped right there. The back tire, it just got away from me and I was so mad. And I picked it up, which was not easy to do. And I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. Like this should not be this hard. I don't understand what I did. So my boyfriend's like, okay, well, let's just go out and we'll do some more riding and see how you do. So we get home and I did it again in the exact same spot in the same day. And we found out that there was a throttle lock on there and it had been sticking. So that's why it was pulling it out from underneath me the way it was. And we took that off, and it was a lot of encouragement from other people that got me to keep getting up and keep going.
Yeah.
So, like one time I was driving through town and I had killed it on a hill because, like, I'm still learning this.
Mhm.
And my boyfriend didn't see me, so he keeps going. And this car behind me just kept getting super close to me. I can't talk. Kept getting super close to me, and she honked at me, and I was shaking because I was embarrassed. So I did like this slowly set it down because I couldn't seem to hold it up.
Yeah.
And somebody actually had to stop and help me pick my bike back up, and then I was able to get it going. And I was so mad,
Yeah.
like I couldn't roll backwards, so I'm trying to like not roll backwards into this lady's car.
Mhm.
Around here, they just they have a term for motorcycle riders. They call them organ donors. I don't know if
Okay.
you've ever heard them called that before,
No, I
because
haven't.
we have such a short season here that a lot of the guys that ride, they don't ride safely. They just go all over the place, and it's always something. So they have a really bad rap in this area.
Okay,
So it's
yeah.
people aren't always very nice to us down here.
That's really unfortunate. That's yeah,
Mhm.
I hate to hear that and I hate to see that because it's just that's so not the case. Like we're
Mhm.
just like everybody else. It's just something that we enjoy. It's that time to ourselves where we can forget about everything else while we just go and clear
Mhm.
our head on the road. So, yeah,
Yep.
it's really unfortunate. So, do you run into that a lot down there in the traffic then?
Um, it kind of depends on where you go because I've been kind of learning to go to the places that there's just not as many people.
Yeah.
Which the Coeur d'Alene area was one of like the top growing cities the last couple years. So there's a ton of people from all over the country here right now. So you have a whole bunch of different driving styles, a whole lot
Mhm.
more people that are riding bikes. So um, in town on a busy day, you definitely still get that. You'll get people that are just mad and will just flip you off for no reason. People that think that they can share your lane, and um, it's something that you always have to watch and be aware of.
Yeah. That's it is. It's always in the back of your mind like you can't trust anyone on the road and you really have to look and I don't think people realize the extent of that for riders.
Hmm.
What we have to think about, what we have to watch. It's scary. We wanna come home to our family at the end of the day, but we also wanna do something that we love, right? You can't live in
Right.
fear. So
Hmm.
so I hope that turns around in your area, the more riders you guys get and the more that you guys get out there, hopefully it will be a change, but I think there'll always be that stigma, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And you do have the different groups of riders. You've got like the young kids on the super fast crack rocket bikes,
Yeah.
and we're close to Spokane, so
Okay.
over there, they'll weave in and out of traffic, and we have a lot of motorcycle accidents here in the last couple of years as well. I think last year we had like 10 people die in motorcycle accidents in our area.
Wow.
So it's just a lot. But a lot of them they just weren't paying attention. Like one guy took a curve and he was in his 60s. He had his wife with him and he forgot to turn.
Wow.
Like it's just it happens, and anytime that if I'm in my car and I see somebody on a bike, I try and make sure, hey, I know what I don't like when I'm riding. So I'm going to make sure I'm going to give this person plenty of room. I'm going to like make sure that if something happens, I'm not going to run them over or something. So you just don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important that we teach that safety to other drivers too. Like I know
Mhm.
myself, I'll teach if I have a friend in the car or my sister or anything like that, I'll teach them like, "Hey, you should allow this room for the biker, or if there's wildlife up ahead, kind of just flash your brake lights, get their attention, let them
Mhm.
know, just always be alert for them, be an extra set of eyes because they're on their own
Yeah.
and it's important."
Mhm.
So, tell me about one of your favorite trips that you've done. What's a good memory that you have on your bike?
Oh, I'd say my favorite one was we went over to Montana and just outside of Missoula, we drove to, it's called the Testicle Festival.
I've never
So
heard of
it is, they don't do it
that.
anymore. That was the last year that they did it. But it's pretty much, there's this bar outside of town and they just have this huge party and there's just a lot of crazy things going on. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Like they have they they do deep fried testicles. They're like chicken nuggets but beef. Um and that ride was a whole lot of fun. We did it with a small group of people, and it was just different. That was the longest ride that I had gone on. And we ended up camping outside of the bar that night, and that was probably my most memorable one. Even though it was more what happened when we got there. But
Yeah. And so how
mhm.
long of a trip was that?
um I think it was about a 4 or 5 hour ride.
So long enough, your butt hurts by the
Mhm.
end.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. That sounds really good. So you've had your Honda and now your Harley. Are those your
Mhm.
first and only bikes?
Yes. When I went bike shopping, I fell in love with the what was it? It was a street bob, a Harley street bob,
Mhm.
and I couldn't bring myself to get it. But now I'm kind of on the lookout for one. If I found it again, I would totally buy it. I don't think I'll ever have a really big bike. I
Yeah.
just don't feel as comfortable on a big bike because most of what we do is like in town stuff,
Mhm.
and the larger bikes are just harder to handle in town. So I'm
Absolutely.
kind of short, so I have short little legs, so I have to tippy toe the big bikes, and that just is not comfortable.
Yeah.
Between tippy toeing and all the gravel over here, it's not a good mix.
Yeah, for sure. You wanna be comfortable, and there's nothing wrong with having a smaller bike. If that's what you're comfortable on and that's how you ride, that's great. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. So do you have a name for your bike?
I do not. I've kind of been hoping that one kind of pops up because like I have my my SUV, we call her Big Booty Judy.
I
She's just
love
it's
it.
my kid hauler, and then I have a Camaro as well, and that's Luann. Like out my cars have a name, but I just haven't come across one that just fit my bike yet.
Yeah, it'll come. There'll be a moment in time where you go, "Oh, okay, this is the name that you're supposed to have." Yeah, Max
It's
agrees. He says, "Yeah."
showing off for you.
I love it. He's like, wants to tell me a story. Do you love going on rides, Max? He's like, what did you just
Oh,
say? In the
it's
middle
like
of
you just
winter?
said my name. What?
Riding in the middle of winter? Are you teasing me? You must get so much attention when you have them on your shoulder and you're riding around.
I do. Not too far from my house, there's this bar that you can drive through the bar on your bike. So that's
What?
where that's where we go. So then we can drive through the bar. It's a lot of fun. But in my house, you can't hand him to anybody. But when you're out in public, he gets passed around and everybody holds him. And then it's like, well, he is technically considered a wild animal, so he could bite you.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he's never bit anybody yet out in public. In the house, it's a little different, but in
Yeah,
public, he hasn't because I'm kind of like his favorite person.
that is so
But
cool. So you have a bar that you can drive right through on your bikes down there?
yes, we do. It's called Cruisers.
That is so cool. So tell me more
Mhm.
about that. How's that set up? There's just kind of like a little road
So
through or
it kind of has like it's almost like an L-shaped building, and then there's on one end of it there are roll-up doors on either side, and then they have like the little road painted all the way through it, and they'll just in the summertime they just roll up the doors, and then they have this guy that his job is to just sit there and wait for a bike to come in, and then he's got this little megaphone and he tells everybody that there's a bike coming and to move out of the way.
that is so cool. I need to put
Mhm.
that on my list. That sounds really neat. I've never heard of anything like that.
I never had either, and I've lived here my whole life, and I didn't know you could even do that until I started writing.
Yeah, that's neat. So what else have you discovered since starting riding? Any other places? Any other things about yourself?
Um, let's see. I learned that you can go because we're by the Coeur d'Alene Lake. I learned that you can go all the way around the lake.
That would be
Like
a pretty drive.
it's it's probably a 2 hour, 3 hour if you stop at all, and you can go all the way around, and most of it's like right on the lake. So it's got some really pretty views along there.
Yeah.
I've taken a lot of side roads and stuff like that. Um, one thing that I've noticed when you're riding that you don't notice when you're in cars, you'll randomly smell the most interesting things. Like
Oh, yeah.
you'll be going past a field because we have a lot of fields where they'll plant mint plants and
Oh.
things like that or alfalfa. You never notice how different the fields smell until you're riding. And then you learn which places you shouldn't ride because you don't want to smell those areas.
Mint. That would be refreshing to just kinda, like, go through.
It's yeah, it's kind of nice. I like it. But
Yeah.
they kind of alternate which one they planted in, so you have to drive around every year to find out where they planted the mint.
That's awesome. I remember this past summer when we took a trip, I think we were oh gosh, I wanna say Colorado. There's lots of trees and it was raining, and then all of a sudden the rain kinda stopped and let up, and all you could smell was the cedar trees, and I just thought,
Mhm.
"Oh my god, this is the most incredible smell. I just wish I could bottle it up and just save it." And
Mhm.
yeah, you're right that when you get a good smell riding through, it's awesome. That's such a nice memory, but the bad ones, you're holding your breath just to get through.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. I really like when it's a hot day and then you'll have the quick rainstorms and then you
Oh,
have just the smell of the rain. That's one of my favorites.
mhm. Have you had to ride through rain yet?
Yes, I don't care for it much. I have no gear for riding in the rain. So I am a lot of times it's referred to as a fair weather rider because I want
Yeah.
to ride when it's nice out.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
it's not fun to ride in the rain and get soaking wet and cold. It kind of sucks the enjoyment out of it for me.
It does. It scares me. I am on the same page. I don't really like it. I don't like that feeling. All of a sudden, you're kind of just feel like airplane mode on top of the water,
Mhm.
and it's just very unsettling.
Yep.
So, what do you have for equipment for riding your bike? Like, do you dress up in full leathers, or are you just kind of the t-shirt jeans girl?
Um, it really depends. If it's really hot outside, like if it's 100-degree day, I'm not wearing full leathers. I
Mhm.
will I have a pair of chaps, but I lost 100 pounds, so they
Wow.
don't fit me anymore. So I don't have that anymore. I do have a jacket, and then in Washington, you have to have a helmet on to even be in Washington. So it's just habit to put a helmet on all the time. So
Mhm.
I have a half helmet for just around town. Then if we're gonna go long distance, I have a full face helmet.
Mhm.
So, but I don't have any rain gear or anything like that. I mostly do jeans and my leather jacket and
Mhm.
boots.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we have to wear helmets in Canada, so it's a habit. I don't even have the option, but I watch people down in the States there and I think, "Wow, I don't know if I could ride without a helmet just because 'cause I'm so accustomed to having it." It was kinda
hmm
scare me.
I've left the house a few times and left it on the back of my bike, and I'll like notice at a stop sign, you feel naked, and you're like, "Why? What is?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I'm missing."
Yeah. And so, does Max have any gear? He just rides with his feathers?
He does not. He won't let me put anything on him. I have definitely tried, but he just rides. I have a special hoodie that I wear because he poops on me a lot.
Really?
So he does. So I have a poop sweater. That way, if he's going to poop, then it is what it is. It's not on my nice stuff. So,
Yeah.
and one of the pictures, I don't know if I posted that one or not, but I have this big old wet spot on my knee because he
Oh.
pooped on me during pictures. It's great. He has no shame.
Oh, man. So does he only ride with you, or will he ride with your boyfriend?
He don't really like my boyfriend unless I'm not
Oh,
around. So if I'm not around, they're best buddies. But if I'm around, Max will try and rip his fingers right off of
no.
his
Really?
hand.
He's protective of his
Yes.
mom.
Large birds like this are for the most part one people birds. They kind of pick their person and then they don't want anybody else.
Okay. So does he like the kids then?
No,
Really?
he does not. Um, he'll kind of let them. He he won't go near my daughter.
Okay.
Um, but she is nonverbal. But they'll yell at each other across the room. She's not making any words, but she yells, and he'll yell back, and then you'll be in the living room, and they're in opposite ends of the house. And you'll just hear her yell, and then he'll yell, and then she'll yell, and then it just goes back and forth for a while.
They're communicating.
Yeah. I don't think she likes him very much because she doesn't like loud noises. So,
That's
but
fair.
he will let my son pick him up about 50% of the time, but only if he thinks he's going to bring him to me.
Oh. And so has your son ever showed interest in the bikes before?
Yes, he will actually ride with me.
Oh.
Um, he he hasn't gone this year because it's too cold, and I'm a little worried about taking him this year because over the winter, I think he's grown about a foot. So he's now taller than me. So I'm not quite sure how it's going to work.
It's a bit of a game changer for sure. And
Yeah.
so, do you think he'll get his bike license one day?
I think so. We got him a dirt bike, and so he
Oh.
knows how to ride, but he outgrew his dirt bike. So
Had a growth spurt. Now he needs another one. Well, that's a
Yes.
great start, starting on a dirt bike. That's how I started because I wasn't comfortable on a full-on bike. I was too nervous. So I started on
Right.
an old dirt bike and kind of got the clutch down and figured out, how to balance. And it was a really good starting point to get into riding. So I think that's an awesome start for him.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I think do you have interest in riding bikes when you're older? Yes, he says
Yeah,
yes. He wants to
that's
ride when
great.
he's older.
That's
So,
great. And I mean, I
but
think it would be super cool having a mom who rode a Harley.
I've picked him up a few times from school.
That's so
So,
fun.
but he's gonna be 14 this summer. So,
Okay. And what age do
mhm.
you have to be down there to get a bike license?
um, I think it might be 16 because you can go through driver's ed at 14.
Okay.
So I think you're allowed to get your endorsement when you're 16 if you go through the class and you already have your driver's license.
Right. And so was it like for you to get your license? What does that process look like down in Idaho?
So there's two different ways you can do it. If you already know how to ride and you're an adult, you can just go down and take your test and they can give you the endorsement. But if you go through their STAR program, they go through and you can choose if you have like zero experience or if you have some experience, and then they completely teach you and they have the bikes there, and you actually get a discount on your insurance if you go through their class. So I went through and I did the class. I felt like having no experience, I only had a little bit from going around town, so I felt it was best to do that, but I already knew how to start the bike and things like that. So I took it was like the star class number 2. So I didn't need the first one.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds kind of similar up to here, but a little bit different. So that's good. And once you had that license, were you just excited to get on the road? How did you feel after getting it, or the endorsement, I guess you guys call it?
Um, it felt pretty good because once you get it, you're allowed to get on the highway. If you don't have it, you can't ride on the highway. So the first time on the highway, it was it just felt different. Like you get to go so much faster, but there's so
Yeah.
many other things you have to watch, but it felt good like I actually get to be here. Like it was pretty good. I did find recently a all females writing group. I found them in the fall, so I'm probably going to hook up with them this summer so that way I have some other women to ride with.
That's great. Yeah, I struggle with that severely in my area. There's not a lot of women riders.
Mhm.
Like
There's a
maybe a
lot more than
couple.
I thought there was.
Yeah?
But there's still you don't normally see very many out and about.
Yeah, for sure. And so, are you in any other full female groups? Like, do you do anything else besides riding?
Um, yes, I am actually in a women's shooting group.
Wow.
It Yep, and it teaches you like I think this next one is they teach you a lot of self-defense. And I think our next class is about shooting through your purse in an emergency. So
Wow.
we get to buy these purses from the thrift store and we get to shoot holes in them.
That sounds awesome. I like that. We don't
It's
have
gonna be a
anything
lot of
like that up
fun.
here. We don't have
Yeah.
anything like that.
Yep. And they have different groups throughout the entire US. Our group has, I want to say like 25, 30 women in it.
Wow, that's a good
So,
size.
mhm.
And so this summer, do you have any plans, any trips, anything going
Um,
on?
so right now I am taking a CNA class
Okay.
and I'm taking a medical assistant class. So I have my hands full with homework. I have
Yeah.
so much going on. The CNA class ends right before we go to Mexico, and then we'll be in Mexico for a week. And then past that, I'm just gonna keep working on getting my medical assistant license.
That's a really good plan. So I love that you're still taking the time to get education. You're putting yourself first. You're riding.
Hmm.
You're linking up with other females. Just all around, really empowering yourself at the end of the day, which is a really big deal. Sometimes we forget to do that.
Yes, we definitely do. Um, for me, this is kind of a newer thing. Um, the kids' dad, I was married for 5 years, and he was physically and mentally abusive. And I was just there. I was quiet. I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't have any friends or anything. And it took finally finding the courage to kick him out and learning who I was as a woman. Like, I had gone from homeschool to being with him and having two kids. Like, I never got that chance to be an adult, a single woman. And then once I got comfortable being who I was and learning who I was and the things I liked and didn't like, that's when my boyfriend kind of came into the picture by accident. We were both on a internet dating site, and I totally swiped the wrong way.
Oh.
So thought I was going to get dinner out of it. It's been 8 years. So,
Oh, that's awesome. You just never
mhm,
really know. You never really know. People
mhm.
come people come to you at the right time, and even, you're not thinking about it, you don't want it, but then they just show up and it's exactly what you need, you
Yeah,
know?
and it was amazing how, um, once you're in that healthy relationship, you notice, like, wow, that other relationship I was in was really unhealthy, and you just don't know it until you find the right thing.
Mhm, mhm. Well, I am incredibly proud of you. That's a tough story to navigate, and, you're finding yourself now and you're doing all of these things, and you're showing your kids that you can live your best life and be who you wanna be, and that's a hard thing
Mhm.
to do, and so I just wanna say that I'm proud of you, and keep up that work on that. Don't ever forget that, and keep pushing for that, because that's important.
Well, thank you.
Of course, yeah. And so, do you have any advice for women who are looking to get into riding? What would you say if someone came up to you and said, "I wanna ride." What's your advice?
Just to do it, and when you have those guys that come up and be like, "Oh, well, you can't, you're just a girl," just use that as more power to actually do it. Just because 'cause you're a female doesn't mean you can't. There's nothing you can't do just because you are a girl.
I love that. I love that. I think, yeah, one of the biggest things I always hear is like, "Oh, it must be so nice that your husband bought that bike for you," or "Did you
Mhm.
actually ride that here?" And it's like, "I did ride this here, and I did buy this for myself."
Mhm.
We can do it too.
Right? I get that a lot too. So I've
Yeah.
just gotten used to it and just kind of ignore them because, a lot of times they're the old school bikers that don't know any better.
Yeah. But when you find the right people, they'll encourage you, like your boyfriend
Mhm.
or, this group of all female riders. If you surround yourself with the right people, they'll teach you anything, I find, when you're in that right crowd. If you want to learn, they're going to show you.
Right. Right, and my boyfriend thinks it's pretty cool that he has a girlfriend that rides because he definitely tells his buddies, like, "Well, your girlfriend doesn't ride because mine does."
Yeah.
Mhm.
They get bragging rights, automatic bragging rights. And my husband's the
Absolutely.
same. I think he shows people pictures of my bike more than his own bike. He just gets so excited.
I think mine does the exact same thing, so.
That's awesome. Having that support is a big deal. And it's so fun being able to ride with your partner.
Mhm. Yeah, I love riding in a group, and I love being able to ride with them, um, but riding on my own, it's different when you're riding by yourself than when you're riding in a group. It's like, I get to choose where to go. If I want to just drive out to the middle of nowhere and turn around and come back, I can. Nobody's
Yeah.
gonna stop me. Nobody can tell me where I can or cannot go. So that's the good thing about riding by myself.
And do you do that often or as much as you can?
As much as I can, but it kind of started out, it's the way that my boyfriend and I can go out and have our date nights.
Yeah.
So we try and sneak out and go do that. I don't like to ride when it starts to get dark. Um,
Hmm.
I have trouble with not seeing as well at night. So I will go when he's at work, or I'm going to go get 1 gallon of milk because that's all I can fit on my bike, but at least I'm going.
Yeah, I really want to try doing that a bit more this summer. Like this is, I think, my second or third year with my license, but I've always ridden with other people. So I want to try
Mhm.
and challenge myself this summer, ride into the office on my own or just go uptown on my own. Just really try and
Mhm.
push myself out of that comfort zone.
Yes, for sure. I I did not care for waking up in the morning and leaving when it's cold.
Yeah.
'Cause then you have your jacket and everything, and it's warmed up by the end of the day, and then you gotta try and strap it on the back because it's too hot to wear it,
Yeah.
but I only work, like, 2 miles from my house, so I don't even have very far to
Oh.
go.
Yeah.
So
It's not
but
even
there's
warm
a
by the
lot of
time you get there.
places. Yeah, there's a lot of mountain rides and all kinds of stuff that I can do around here, and I always tell somebody where I go, God forbid something happened to me,
Yeah.
somebody needs to at least know what general area to start looking if I don't show up.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually use an app called Life 360. So it kind of just tracks where you are. So like my husband and I have it just for that reason, right? So he says, I'm going out on the bike. Okay, good. I know you're going out. If he doesn't come home or it's been a really long time, I can check to make sure that he's still okay and he's not in a ditch somewhere. So I would check that out. It's a really handy app for just for that purpose and ease of anxiety. And then somebody knows where you are and if something does happen, it can take you right to them, which is nice. So
Yeah, I've never heard of that before. I'll definitely check it out.
it's free. Yeah, it's just a free app, but it's just peace of mind.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on. I really appreciate it, and I've enjoyed learning about you and your story and Max. I just think that's the neatest thing that you have him to ride with. So, thank you so much.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thank you for asking me.
Yeah, thank you so much, and I hope we can catch up sometime in the future. And hey, maybe I'll come through Idaho.
Yeah, if you ever do, hit me up. I live on the river, so
Oh,
if it wasn't pitch black, I would
yeah.
show you.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, for sure. I
Mhm.
definitely want to come back because that was gorgeous riding through there this summer. And I feel like I didn't even get to soak in half of what I wanted to because there was so
Yeah,
much.
there definitely is, and I'll let you know if I go up there. I know we wanna
Yeah.
hit up the hot springs up there at some point in time.
Absolutely. That would be awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. Take care.
Alright, sounds good. You have a good night.
You too.